Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Buenos dias. Good morning. Started on time today. It was better than last week. All right, let's do the Spanish language interpretation. Sandra, can you do that? Thank you.
Yes. Hola, buenos días a todos. Gracias por estar aquí esta mañana. Por favor, si necesita interpretación, váyase a la caja de herramientas en la parte de abajo, bien sea el globito o donde encuentra las palabras more, la palabra more, M-O-R-E, y hay 3 puntitos. Hágale clic ahí y escoja el idioma que prefiere. Gracias.
Thank you. Ava, can you please make me host? Or Meryl, excuse me.
Oh.
Sorry, everyone. If I'm not the first to join, I don't get hosting, but I need it to do all of this. Okay. So language interpretation available should pop up at the bottom of your screen. Click the globe to choose either Spanish or English, whichever you prefer. And let me turn the captions on as well. Okay. Good morning. Welcome to Early Care Connection. I'm Izzy Greenberg. Today we are joined by our resident panel of experts, Meryl Gay from the Connecticut Early Childhood Alliance and Ava Bermudez-Zimmerman from the Child Care for Connecticut's Future campaign. As always, I would like to start by thanking Sandra for providing interpretation and enabling us to make these calls available to a lot more people. So thank you so much, Sandra. We have folks from the OEC coming on today, Office of Early Childhood, coming on today in a few minutes to help us understand the process for some potential regulations changes that are on the horizon. And then a couple of kind of business things to go over first. So just a reminder to everyone before we get started that the chat is the right place for you to share information with each other. It's also a great place to tell us if you're having any technical difficulties. The Q&A is the right place for questions. I think we're probably not going to get a lot of answers today on the specifics of the regulations changes. I think we're probably going to get a lot of answers on the process. And so I just want to kind of let everyone know that on the front end, that we'll do our best to get all of your questions answered, but we'll see how it goes. I don't want to overpromise today. So, all right, Meryl, let me turn it over to you. And yeah, let me turn it over to you. Go ahead.
Okay. So some of you may have heard this past week that the president asked Congress for a $16 billion supplemental appropriation for early childhood. That was a good thing, but don't anybody hold your breath waiting for it to happen. As we have seen, Congress has been pretty dysfunctional. They finally have a speaker. But that speaker got elected by promising to be more conservative than everybody else. And that means that they are talking about huge cuts to the federal discretionary budget. Whether they can make that happen or not is yet to be seen, but they were talking about rolling back the spending on childcare to the pre-2022 levels. They, are talking about slashing Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and just all kinds of big, deep cuts. So we don't have any clue what's going on there, but the one thing that we know is that they're pretty dysfunctional right now. So we really need to focus our efforts on things here in Connecticut until maybe an election changes the makeup of Congress. Maybe Ava, you could talk about the Blue Ribbon panel and what's going on there. Maybe. His connection was not great this morning, so.
I can hear you. Yep.
There you go. All right.
My connection's always not great, Meryl. Who are you kidding? Good morning, everyone. Just another reminder, there's a Blue Ribbon Panel meeting coming up this Wednesday, November 1st. That meeting is it's scheduled from 9 to 11 a.m. at Gateway Community College. The panelists are going to be discussing and looking at the third draft. This is not an open dialogue with the community, but we could observe and listen, and hopefully CTN will be recording this. If it's not on a live feed, then possibly there might be the ability to watch it later on. I can't confirm that because there was a desire from the commissioner to make sure all Blue Ribbon Panel meetings were recorded. But because it's not at the legislative office building in Hartford, I'm not quite sure if they secured CTN to record it. Later on, if we do have a Blue Ribbon Panel representative on this call, then we can confirm and let you guys know. But in the meantime, anyone is welcome and available to attend the Blue Ribbon meeting that's happening November 1st, this Wednesday at Gateway Community College at 9 a.m. Another heads up that the Child Care for Connecticut's Future, CCFCT Coalition, will be sending out today a one-pager, just it's a one-pager explaining the different versions of the drafts. So because there's been 3 drafts and they're all pretty dense, multiple pages, it's a lot to take in. You're busy women, but we want to make sure it's as easy as possible to be in the loop as to what that content looks like. So we took the 3 different drafts, gave you a quick update on what those drafts look like, the major bullet points, and then added the most recent version there as well. So you should be getting that. If not lunchtime, then promise you end of business day today. It's almost done. We just want to make sure that we keep you in the loop of everything. Izzy, back to you.
All right. Any other kind of announcements, things like that you guys want to go over before we begin the next section? Meryl?
Just the Alliance will have our monthly meeting on Thursday morning.
Okay.
With Alliance members.
All right. And then guys, is next week, November 6th, that is energy audit. Is that confirmed?
That is confirmed, double and triple confirmed. We have an energy expert on how to do renovations in your home to be more energy efficient. And then we also have someone from one of the state cap agencies that's authorized as a CIP, Connecticut Energy. They're going to explain the energy programs that exist in the state of Connecticut. We have an official person.
Okay, great.
Quick question for Meryl. Meryl, for those listening, how do you get to go to the Alliance call?
You join the Alliance, and I'll stick a link in the chat.
Okay. All right, Maggie, are you ready to go? I know we're waiting. Are we waiting on Elizabeth? I don't know if you're ready.
We're waiting for Liz Proietti, and I believe we were told we were going to be going on at 9:45. I just happened to join early.
Yes. Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
No,
Maggie, I do have a question that's unrelated to today's topic. We announced, I was just talking about CTN being available for the recordings of the Blue Ribbon Panel. Do you know if the Wednesday meeting that's also available, or don't make any promises on that one?
we've let CTN know that the meeting is going to be. It's on their radar. We have not received confirmation yet. I will let you know. I'll see if I can find out in between now and the end of this meeting whether that will be recorded. We certainly hope it can be.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Maggie.
You're welcome.
All right, so we've got 5 more minutes of time to fill here. So if there are other questions that folks have, from our audience today, if there's things that you want to ask that you'd like us to figure out for you for the future, this would be a fine time to raise your hand, put things in the Q&A, or use the chat. And if there's things on your mind, if there's stuff that we haven't been working on that you'd like us to, this is a good time since we've got 5 minutes until folks come on.
Yeah, if you've got an idea for a topic that you'd like to learn more about, that would be great. I was at the kayak convention this weekend, and one of the vendors was the Early Childhood Consultation Partnership. And they offered to come on at some point. They said, every time we're at one of these things, we are amazed at the number of people who go, "Oh, what's this? I've never heard of you."
It's a great program too. Yeah.
And at a time when every early educator is concerned about behavior issues and just the issues that kids and families are facing now, that's a really good resource. Great.
Also, just to remind everyone that next week is energy, okay, we already talked about that. November 13th is canceled in observance of Veterans Day. November 20th, we're going to be talking about the kindergarten start age. 27th, canceled in observance of Thanksgiving. And then well, that's enough for now, but just to let you guys know that we do have a few days off in November, which also puts a little bit more pressure on us to make sure that we're making sure to get what you all need in a timely manner. So again, if today's conversation came right out of one of our members kind of flagging this to say, "Oh, this is confusing, help." And so this came together very quickly. That often happens where there's nothing on the radar, and then suddenly it's like, "Oh, wait, this thing is happening. Let's do this." And so we can be very responsive to that, which is excellent. So, all right, let's see. We've got
Izzy,
yes.
I actually just looked on the CTN website, and it in fact is listed that it is going to be covered. It sounds like it's live from Gateway Community College. So 9:30.
That's the blue ribbon panel.
Yes, the blue ribbon panel. So
yep. Okay.
Unless things change, that looks like that is the case.
Great. I'm just going to pop these dates into, and thank you for looking that up, Maggie. So no calls. I'm putting the calendar stuff in the chat for folks. November 13 and
while you do that, CCSET does have between November and December a handful of meetings that are open to everyone to attend. What I promise to do is in our next CCSET stakeholder or community email, we'll add those dates in a calendar so folks know what's happening, and that way you could be up to date with advocacy for childcare and parent organizing.
Great. Okay, so I'm popping a link to the third draft of, oh wait, that's the wrong one. Third draft of the blue ribbon panel. That's not what I wanted. I wanted the center-based regulations changes, which I think also might be a third draft. There's proposed changes. If you click on this, so this is what we're going to be talking about today, the link that I just popped into the chat. And if you look at it, let me just pull it up because it would be good just to understand this. Share screen. All right, so
one thing too is that Liz Proietti, she will have a PowerPoint.
Yes. So I just wanted to get people oriented in our next, because we have a few minutes just till she joins us. So my understanding is the green one is the newest edition. Yellow was the previous edition. And so I think the thing that is the newest editions are all in green. And so when folks pull this up on their screens, on their tablets, whatever you guys are looking at this on, the newest changes or proposed changes are in green. The ones that happened before that are in yellow. And so just wanted to show you all that. This is obviously very long, 48 pages on my computer, 50 pages. So so that just orients you all to that. Okay, and I can see that we have Liz here, so that is excellent. And sorry to have a few minutes of time to kill, everybody. We always expect things to take a little longer than they will, so it's nice to have time to go get yourself another cup of coffee. So, but here we go. Liz and Maggie are here from the Office of Early Childhood to help us understand some of these proposed regs changes. I really appreciate you both joining and helping walk us through this today. I know that you are not intending to answer questions about the specifics of the changes, but rather the process of the changes. My guess is people have questions on both, so I'll do my best to weed through those questions and ask you ones that are appropriate to what you're presenting on today. But you can always say you're going to pass if it's something that you don't feel that you can answer. Okay, so I'm going to just turn it over to you. And Liz, I believe you have a PowerPoint as well. Is that correct?
I do. Yes. Thank you.
All right, great. Thanks. Welcome.
Thank you
and appreciate you being here.
Thank you. It's our pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting us. I am going to do my best to share this PowerPoint. Okay. How does that look? Can we see my first screen?
Yep, it's good.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, good morning. My name is Liz Proietti, and I'm the director of the licensing division for the Office of Early Childhood. And I'm here today with Maggie Adair, who I'm sure you all know and have met already. Maggie's the communications and legislative program manager for the OEC. I wanted to thank you for inviting us again to join you today to discuss the proposed changes to the Child Care Center and group child care home regulations. We understand that with this latest round of proposed changes that there's some concern about some of the proposals. So we wanted to come here today to ensure everyone understands the process as well as the recent proposals. While I imagine that some people on the call today have been operating their programs for several years, others may have been operating for a shorter time. In either case, it's useful to know that the regulations for child care centers and group child care homes have not changed in many years, 15 to be exact. While there have been many laws enacted since such time that impact licensed child care facilities, the agency has not adopted changes to the regulations for child care centers and group child care homes, which govern how those laws will be enforced. The proposed changes represent years of ideas from a variety of stakeholders. So while the OEC is anxious to implement new regulations, we are also trying to be thoughtful and ensure the changes reflect not only best practices, but also include ideas from providers like you, as well as requirements of state and federal laws. In October of last year, the OEC submitted proposed changes to the regulations. Programs and other interested stakeholders submitted written comments to the OEC, and 2 public hearings were held. After that, in August of this year, the agency made additional changes to the proposed regulations based on comments received during the public comment period and from other state agencies, and made some additional changes to hopefully clarify the regulations. Those changes were not major.
I just want to interrupt to remind you that we are doing this in simultaneous Spanish translation. And so to keep in mind for acronyms and also speed. Thank you so much. Sorry, I didn't remind you of that on the front end.
Thank you. So again, let me just back up. In August of this year, the OEC made additional changes to the proposed regulations based on the comments received during the public comment period and from other state agencies. And we made some additional changes to hopefully clarify the regulations. Those changes weren't major, like the first round of proposed changes, so we did not hold a public hearing at that time. The comments we did receive, however, prompted additional changes, which is how we got to where we are today with yet a 3rd round of proposed changes. The agency decided in response to some of the comments received in August, and with additional changes being proposed in October, that we would hold a public hearing in case individuals wanted to comment in person regarding the August and the October proposed changes. This next slide shows the web address where people can find both the current statutes and regulations as well as the proposed regulations. And we recently updated the layout of this web page since posting the 3rd version of the regulations, and we hope that this new format helps people find each version more easily. And you can see that along with each version of the proposed changes is a summary of the proposed regulations. And I just want to point out that while it starts, if you read from the bottom up, you can see that we proposed regulations in October, and we posted a summary of those proposed regulations. And then in August, we proposed revised regulations, and we posted a new summary of revised regulations. But that summary is just about the August proposals. And then in October, the summary is just about the October proposals. So
Yeah,
there's not one document that has all of the proposals in one summary form.
To be clear, the August one is the one in yellow, the October one is the one in green.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next, the OEC news section of our website has information about where you can read the regulations, make comments, and register to join the public hearing. The most recent changes to the regulations, highlighted in green, are open to public comment until November 30th. I also want to remind everyone that when you're reading through the proposed regulations, language being deleted from the regulations is in brackets, whereas language being added to the regulations is underlined. I have to apologize because when you look at the entire document of proposed regulations, not only will you see bracketed language and underlined language that was first put out in the first proposal last year, but now you'll also see bracketed and underlined, highlighted yellow and green language. So if you're confused, yes, it's confusing, but we did try to clarify that as best we could.
Will we be able to send this out, this PowerPoint out to folks after this webinar is over?
Sure, we can do that. Yep.
Yes.
I think it's small to read on most screens.
Yes. And Liz, just I want to add in that this is pretty unusual to have 3 sets of hearings on regulations. Usually you do one set, you make the changes, it goes to the AG's office. But we've been iterative and we're coming back for a 3rd time because of your input. And so we really wanted to capture what you saw and what you pointed out in the comments to make sure we can get the best set of regulations possible. So that's hence why this has probably been confusing about, well, what am I commenting on today? It's really the most recent changes.
Thank you.
Okay. If anyone decides to join the public hearing, this is the page where folks will register. The information here shows those who provide oral comments at the hearing will be asked to submit a written copy of their comments. Speakers will have roughly 3 minutes to present their comments, and we will ask that comments be confined to the content of the proposed regulations highlighted in yellow and green. Oral comments and written comments are given the same weight, and those who are unable to attend are still encouraged to provide written comments. Written comments are due by the close of the public comment period on November 30th and may be sent to Cynthia Watts-Elder, our agency legal director, at the address listed here. Here it is, the yellow and green nightmare. As you can see from this slide, there are not really many proposed changes since the original proposed changes were put out last year. Sections highlighted in yellow were originally proposed in August, whereas those sections highlighted in green were proposed earlier this month. However, there are some proposals that have elicited questions and comments, and we encourage everyone to read through the proposed changes and submit comments to the agency before the comment period closes at the end of November. I thought I would read through each section of the summary of proposed regulations where there have been recent proposed changes. And just a reminder, this is just a summary of proposed changes. So you'll want to read through all the regulations and note those sections that are highlighted to see the changes that people may comment on during the public hearing. We have already received written public comments on the changes in regulations highlighted in yellow. So we don't necessarily expect to receive more written comments on those sections. And in response to comments received on those changes highlighted in yellow, we have made some additional changes, which are highlighted in green. The sections of the regulations that are not highlighted, but are simply underlined, meaning new language, or bracketed, meaning language being deleted, are still included in the proposed changes. For example, I know at least one question has come up about the proposed change in ratio for 2-year-olds changing from 1:4 to 1:5. And that was in the first version of the proposed changes, and there have been no changes made to that proposal at this time. So is it okay if I read through these? Do we have time for that?
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right, so section 1 is about definitions. We first, in August of this year, defined non-program staff and volunteer. We redefined employment. And then in October, we made a couple of additions to the definition section. Uh-oh, did I just stop sharing?
No, it's
you're,
okay.
You're fine.
Oh, okay, sorry, that's on my end. In October, we added to the definition requiring the director be on site. The program, 50% of the hours the child care program is in operation on a weekly basis. And we redefined employment, group child care home, non-program staff, program staff, school age, and staff. In the section on administration, we made clear in August that the operator shall employ staff and alternate staff. And we made clear that the most recent inspection report must be posted or made available for review upon request. In October, we made clear that program staff must receive new staff orientation and annual training of the program's policies, plans, and procedures, and emergency preparedness training. So in this one, I can just highlight that we had to make clear that program staff receive this new staff orientation, and program staff in our proposed definition includes volunteers, and we had to do that based on federal requirements. We also made clear that the posting of developmental milestones does not need to be posted for programs that serve school-age only children. Under the staffing section, we previously proposed that the operator conduct employment history checks on all prospective program staff and made clear that checks must be accessible to the office upon request. And then most recently, again, requiring the director to be on site 50% of the time, we made clear that those staff hired after October 1st of 2024 must complete health and safety training within 3 months of their date of hire. And we made clear that persons applying to be education consultants must have 1 or more years overseeing and managing a licensed child care center that meets the standards comparable to those in Connecticut. Under record keeping, we clarified that the operator shall immediately notify the parent of a child if their child exhibits or develops an illness or is injured while in care, but no later than 1 hour after discovery of such illness or injury. We tried to clarify in that section what immediately looks like. We also clarified that the operator must maintain video recording created at the program for no less than 30 days and make such recording immediately available to the OEC, but no later than the next business day. And this proposal doesn't mean that people have to go out and buy video systems if they don't have them, but if they do have them, they have to keep the recordings on site and available for 30 days. Under the health and safety section of the regulations, we removed the repealed DPH model food regulations, and most recently clarified requirements under the Public Health Code for children with a valid religious exemption prior to April 28th of 21, that they obtain a written declaration stating immunizations are in process. Under the physical plant section, we previously proposed that indoor and outdoor space at the same address as a facility shall not be used for field trips unless the program can ensure the health and safety of all children using such space. And with that, parent permission shall be obtained and kept on file for office review, and the parent shall be advised that the space is not inspected or approved by the OEC. We also specified that an operator may be subject to environmental testing of a building when chemicals are suspected, and includes water served by a public water company. Finally, the site for water testing and method for testing water are specified, and results shall be kept on file at the facility. The analysis of water samples shall be conducted by a registered environmental laboratory, and tests for water obtained from other than a public water system are specified. Most recently, in the same section, we made clear that indoor and outdoor space at the same address as a facility shall not be used for field trips unless the program takes reasonable efforts to ensure the health and safety of all children using such space. And we specified that water from at least one drinking beverage and food preparation sink, and at least 2 sinks if the facility has more than one, be tested every 2 years for lead content. Under the section about administration of medications, we updated the regulations that were adopted by DPH regarding the emergency distribution of potassium iodide during a public health emergency declared by the governor for those programs within the Millstone emergency planning zones. Under the under 3 endorsement section of the regulations, we previously proposed that the height of a fence used to enclose infant toddler space was specified as 4 feet for those spaces licensed on and after January 1st of 2024. Given the closeness of that date, we moved the date out to January 1 of 2025, realizing that the regulations will not likely be adopted by January 1 of 24. And then finally, we previously proposed that the ratio of program staff to children was changed from 1 to 10 to 1 to 12. However, this most recent version of the regulation proposes a ratio of from 1 to 10 to 1 to 15. All right. Out of myself. All right. Okay. If anyone loves a good flow chart, this is a good one. This represents the regulatory process, which starts with statutory authority from the legislature and ends with the official version of the regulations being posted on the website of the Secretary of the State. Well, I won't go into details here. I just wanted to share what a lengthy process it is to adopt new regulations. I do, however, want to highlight a few steps that are important for everyone to understand. At the close of the public comment period, the agency must post on our website and in the Secretary of State's e-regulation system a summary of all of the comments received along with our response, which will indicate, for example, whether we are proposing a change in language based upon comments received. This will include responses to all the comments, since the proposed regulations were first put out for public comment last year through this most recent version. Excuse me. The regulations are then sent to the Attorney General's office for their review and approval, and after the Office of the Attorney General approves the regulations, they are sent to the Legislative Regulations Review Committee. If approved, they are sent to the Secretary of the State for approval, and they are posted on the e-regulation system. Again, this is a lengthy process, but we are committed to working as expeditiously to implement these changes. We hope this information was helpful, and we want to thank you once again for inviting us to be with you today. While we can't have a Q&A during this call, we do encourage anyone with comments both in support of or in opposition to any of the proposed changes come to the hearing this afternoon and or send us your written comments by the end of November.
How much do people actually need to be able to read that flow chart that you shared? Is that something that, are you just trying to show like how complicated it is, or is it something that's actually people should be like working to zoom in on their screens?
No, I think you don't really need to zoom in. I just was using it to demonstrate the complexity and the potential length of how it all comes to be.
Okay. So I know that you actually let's go over to Ava first.
Just a point of clarification, Elizabeth. We had a few of our callers, Izzy, Meryl, and I keep an eye out on who's jumping in and who's jumping off on the call. We're close to 300 people, and I can see that from the beginning of your presentation till now, there was probably a fluctuation of about 20 to 30 people. So just a point of clarification, today's call on the regs is specific to centers and group homes only. Did I understand that correctly? Okay.
Yes, those are the only proposed regulations that are currently open for public comment.
And it's
Okay,
only
that's
the
very helpful.
it's only the newest version of those changes that people can comment on. The other ones have already had comments.
Right. So we've had public comment on the first version. We've had public comment on the section that were highlighted in yellow. And now we've opened it up and the comments are on the section highlighted in green. But today's hearing, we will listen to comments on both sections in yellow and in green.
Oh, okay.
There are, I know you're not going to answer questions on the specifics of the changes, but merely process. So I will ask you process questions. But if folks do have questions about the changes, who is the right person for them to contact for clarity about, well, what would this actually mean for me? Because it may change their testimony. If they may be reading it wrong, it may be misunderstood, may not apply to them at all. How do people learn? How do people find that out? Who do they contact?
They can send an email to the agency legal director, Cynthia Watts-Elder. Her name and contact information is listed both in the news section on our website. Her name was listed in the notice that was emailed to everyone last week about the notifying them of these new regulations. So she's been getting comments about these already.
Okay, great. And I just put her name and email address into the chat for folks. So if there's a bunch of questions in here that are specifically, I'm not going to ask them today because that is not what our guests are prepared to answer, but you should please take the questions you've put into the Q&A and send them directly to Cynthia Watts-Elder, who hopefully can answer those for you. There's a question here about the timeline for the changes. And Kristen actually answered them, but I just want to say that out loud. The current public comment period will remain open until November 30th. OEC then needs to compile all the comments over the 3 public comment periods and respond to each of them, which can take some time. After that, they get sent to the Office of the Attorney General for their final review and approval. They could require changes, which would result in having to do a re-review. Then they must go to the Legislative Regulations Review Committee. They will schedule a hearing. Well, who's that hearing for? The public or for legislators?
The Regs Review
Committee.
Yes,
it's not a public hearing.
The committee.
Okay, they will schedule a hearing where they will advise whether they will approve or require changes. Once approved by the Regulations Review Committee, they go to the Secretary of the State for final approval and codification. So that is not an easy question to answer, but a realistic time frame could be late spring, but of course that is not definite. So I just wanted to say that out loud because I think that's an important one that's probably on folks' mind. If they change then in the spring, let's say in theory, how long, and you could just give months, but what is a typical, do you expect implementation to be immediate, or is it like 6 months from the changes you have to get to compliance? Is there some buffer time, or is it as soon as these are put into effect that they are in effect? I know some of them said like January 1st, 2025 for the fence change, but are they mostly like, no, this is now compliance immediately once they're passed?
Right. Once they are adopted and posted by the Secretary of the State, they become effective. And then we would send notification to all providers that these are the new regulations and work toward explaining them, educating providers, and, you know, if there are specific dates within those regulations that compliance needs to be met, we will certainly work quickly to make sure that providers know what they have to do prior to those dates.
Okay. Thank you. And listen, everyone, Maggie posted in the chat the link to register for today's public hearing. I just tested it. It did work for me, so I'm not sure. Somebody said it's not working, but I just tested it. When I click on it, it does open up on my screen. But that is something also that someone here can send out on the listserv. I don't know if OEC intends to put that out, but certainly something that we could, if not. Maggie?
Just so you know, we have this information is on the OEC website under news. So we post news posts. So if you go to news under About Us, or it's also on the front page, I think it's the second posting of the day. And it has all the information. It has links to the regulations and links to the registration for today's hearing. Liz, does it have a link to the document that shows what's in yellow and green? Does that show as well?
The news section does, yes.
Okay, it does.
So that I just posted that the news.
There's also
story, and it does have a link there to the revised proposed changes. So you should be able to click that link I just shared. But if not, it is. This is a much simpler one, which is ctoec.org/news. And then, like Maggie said, you scroll down to the second item, which I did share that link, but if you're having trouble with it, you can go there directly. Click on the second one, and then that lists the regulations change. It has all of that information that you need. And it does have a link for the public hearing there, Maggie, you said?
Yes.
Yes, join the hearing. I see it. Let me just actually share my screen really quickly so that folks can see what this looks like.
Oh, thank you, Izzy. I appreciate it.
oec.org/news. Again, you can translate this into Spanish if that's useful for you. But you go down to the second one here, give feedback about proposed childcare center group childcare home regulations. So this first link looks like it is the revised changes with the yellow and the green. And that one actually is interesting because what you can, if you let me open it up, what Liz shared, which was the summary, is so great, but it doesn't tell you what it is referring to. And so if you need to know what it's referring to, I saw some questions in there, well, what's the date now? Or what is the thing now? Everything that is not highlighted, that is what is in existence now. Is that right, Maggie or Liz? I just want to confirm that I'm saying that's right.
I'm sorry, can you say that again, Izzy?
Yeah, what was your question?
I just want to confirm that what is not highlighted is the existing regulation.
Well, what is not highlighted is either existing, or if it's bracketed and not highlighted, that was like an original proposal to remove that language. If it's not highlighted and it's underlined, that was original language to be added. So like under commissioner, you'll see it says commissioner means the commissioner of, we removed public health and we're adding early childhood.
I see. So that's a change that is non-controversial. So it's basically non-controversial changes that are just clarifying something technically.
Yeah, and it wasn't that we just changed controversial things. We changed things like just to make things clearer. After discussions, we realized that we still needed to tweak some things.
Okay, so folks can see this yellow change is the August proposed change, which there's already been a public hearing on. And the green is the newest proposed change, which today is the public hearing. If you can't go to that, but you have comments, you have till November 30th to comment. And so let's just go back one more time. So that's those proposed changes. That's how you understand that. Then here is, I assume, Cynthia Watts Elder's email address, if you didn't copy it from the chat. And then here is the link to register for the hearing today. And so this goes through, again, email Cynthia here. So this should give you all the information that you need. They are also asking that if you make a comment, that you provide your comments in writing as well. And so just to point that out. So, okay.
Can I just
yeah, go
add
ahead,
one
Liz.
other thing?
Yes, please.
I'm seeing message from John looking for the document that I shared on the PowerPoint with the yellow and green summary of proposed changes. That's not a document that's on our website. That was just something that I made for today's presentation. I can certainly share that if it's easier for people to weed through the changes.
Sure.
And
What I shared with John was the original changes that you do have yellow and green. But yes, your summary, sorry, I just want to clarify for John that I sent him the highlights that are yellow and green that are on the website, but not your summary.
Okay.
And
Yeah, so my summary just combines those two documents.
yeah, there's been a request whether this could be translated into Spanish. This is PowerPoint. I want to let them know that Liz, I think, must have done this over the weekend in her spare time. So it is not yet in Spanish yet, but we definitely can get that translated into Spanish. It'll take a few days, so it won't be ready by this afternoon, but we'll absolutely get on that and get that translated into Spanish.
Yes, understood. And we're really, really thankful to you guys for coming on short notice, and also understanding that it does take a little bit of time to get this stuff done. So, and for folks here who have put questions into the Q&A, I just want to be clear that if I am dismissing your comments, it's not because they're not important or relevant. It's just that they will not be answered by our guests today. And so if you've seen your comment dismissed, please take that comment and email it to Cynthia, who is the appropriate person for anything on the substance of the changes. Maggie and Liz are here today to talk about the process by which these changes will change, theoretically. Okay, Maggie, go ahead.
Just one last thing. I think Liz mentioned it. It's very important, but if you can't make today's hearing, do not worry. You can provide written comments, and they're given just as much weight. So just that being said, it's important people know that.
That is important. And honestly, it gives you all time to really read through it, make sure that you are getting your questions answered about what you want to say, so that when you do say it, it really is, you've boiled it down to what you really mean and what really needs to be said. So I think attending a public hearing, if you know what you want to talk about, is excellent. Please do that. It's, of course, a powerful way to be heard. But if you can't attend today, no pressure. There is plenty of time till November 30th to make your comments. Ava, go ahead.
For those who can attend today, is it at any point within the hour-and-a-half time slot? For example, if the provider jumps on at 1:45 and there wasn't a long line of comments, will someone still be on?
Yes, we will keep the public comment period open the entire time from 1 to 2:30 today.
And do people just jump on and they kind of are put in a line when they jump in?
The way I understand it, if you're registered to speak at the public hearing, Cynthia is the hearing officer, and she will ask individuals to raise their hand, and we'll call on people to speak.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about that in the registration link. So, all right. Okay, last call for any questions on process here. It's there were a lot, actually, and it's good to get this stuff clarified. Just a reminder to folks, any questions you have about any of these changes, please email Cynthia Watts Elder. You can, of course, always follow up with Meryl, Ava, or me to get more information. We will put all of the links, including a link to the PowerPoint that was shared today, into an email and send it out to folks on the listserv. I believe we can also send it out to folks who were registered for this webinar. And as always, there will be a recording of this posted in the next 24 hours on the website. I can put the website up. We are using YouTube now instead of using Zoom to put our recordings. And so you'll find links to the Q&A, to the chat, kind of in the bottom of the YouTube video link. So the video will be there, and then underneath it are all of the links to those things. And it's much easier to do it that way than to deal with having Zoom storage for many years at this point. So, okay, anything else that we need to discuss on this? Liz, Maggie, is there any final things that we may have missed? No. All right.
I don't think so.
Thank you both so much for being here. Really appreciate it, and always helpful. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
All right, Ava, Meryl, anything else that you guys need to go over today before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I am putting that summary that was uploaded in the chat out on the listserv now.
All right, sounds good. And for folks who are interested also, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that way you get a notice when the videos are uploaded. So a new video has been added kind of notice. So if that is easy for you and you prefer it rather than having to go back to the website and check if it's ready, you can do that. You just go to, it's youtube.com/early care connection. And you can you hit subscribe, and I think it just, let's see, I'm going to get you the link exactly. Here we go. It is very easy to do. I will very quickly share my screen one more time, show you how to do it. So you go to that link I just put, youtube.com/@earlycareconnection. And you literally hit the subscribe button right here. So it's extremely easy. It's not necessary. You can see we don't have a ton of subscribers, and yet we do get a lot of people. You know, this one had 118 views. So it's not that everybody is subscribed who's watching these things. But if you want to be notified when a new video is uploaded, then that's the right place to do it. So we've got different playlists here. This is the 2023 playlist. And so that's how that works. All right. This is a little bit new for us, having a YouTube channel instead of using the website and Zoom recordings. So if there are things that you think we could be improving upon in the interface, please let us know. Okay, that's it. We'll see you all next week. Thank you again to Sandra. Thank you to everyone here for being here, for caring about this, for paying such close attention. And let us know if there's topics you need. We'll see you next week to learn about energy efficiency, improving your spaces for winter. Have a wonderful week. Thanks, everyone.